What's going on, guys? Welcome to the inaugural first time ever edition of CHL Mailtime. This is a show brought to you at the end of each week, which will answer your questions. I've set up a Google Voice account where you can call with your cell phone, your Skype, your Uvu's, or whatever other calling program you want to use. It's an anonymous phone number that I set up, so it's not like you're calling my cell phone. You're calling a system that leaves messages for me based off of my login credentials. These questions can be about anything, whether they're real-life hockey related, NHL 14 related, video games, and whatever you want to talk about. But obviously, we're here to talk about the CHL when we are talking about league play. It doesn't mean it won't take other subjects in question. However, we are in the CHL, so this is for you guys. If you want to call in on the show, the number is 774-260-5411. I say again, 774-260-5411. If you are in Canada, I'm not sure if there are going to be any charges or long-distance rates that apply. I can't control that any way possible. I wish I could. If I could, I'd send you guys all phone cards. Other ways you can talk to me is on Twitter at Powda_P, my gamer tag, of course, and then also you can shoot me PMs on right on the forums as well, and I'll take those questions too. The show's set to run about 30 minutes. I'm going to do everything I can to get to that point, but if not, hey, it happens. And with that, we're just going to get right into our first caller. Let's see if I can get that to play a little bit louder here. I know I had this right earlier. All right. That one's very inaudible, so we're just going to pretend that one never happened. So when you do call, make sure you're trying to get your voice as clear as possible. I know everybody doesn't have professional audio equipment or anything like that, but it still helps to kind of speak clearly, not use too much slang, try to be in good cellular service if you're calling. So we'll move on to the next one.
Yo, Powda P, it's your boy C-Note EVR from the Tri-City Americans. Just want to say a quick shout out to all my homies in Tri-City. Another quick question here. I was just wondering, who do you think is the most overrated and underrated player in the LGCHL right now? Thanks a lot.
All right, so basically C-Note from the Tri-City Americans. I hope you're still playing there, as I know this message was sent a couple days ago, which means obviously you guys can call anytime throughout the week. It doesn't have to be just on Thursdays during the show. Basically, who's the most overrated and underrated player in the CHL? Right now, overrated, I hate to do this, but it's got to be me. I play solid defense, and I get paid way too much, but the reason why my defense looks so solid is because of the line of forwards I'm on. If we're talking contract-wise, the name that's always going to come up is the $9 million man. But coming into the season, Barra 30, he was picked up for, I think, $8 million as a goalie and then was swiftly moved to a training camp or called up. Not sure if that was an accurate bid on that player, but either way, he's not producing here in the CHL, so somebody took a serious salary hit to win that bidding. As far as underrated, the underrated players are tough to see right now because there's one team that stands out above all, and then the rest of them have a bunch of role players. I don't see, Nuke Freeman was obviously came in on a cheap salary. Other guys, you got Ed Reflex from the Spokane Chiefs. Archie, he's a goalie, but he's also a GM, so I guess can't really rate that player. There's not a whole lot of underrated at this point. It's just one of those things that by week 3, 4, and 5 we'll start to see a lot more trades happening because the actual skill level will start to show through. Thank you for your question, C-Note. I hope you and the Tri-City Americans had a good week. I know you guys took a loss early on in the week to my team. I was on that game, and that was a pretty good one. It was a fun one, but we came out on top, of course. We're going to move to our next question. The next one came in the form of a private message. I'll read it to you guys. This comes from White Silence 14. He says, out of all the trades so far, which trades do I think will impact their team positively or negatively? As far as positive, I have to say the Brad Marchand trade, which moved Emlyn over to the Saskatoon Blades. Since Emlyn's been there, he's gone 2 and 2. 2-2. Having a hard time reading between the weeks because he switched. Looks like he got a game in. Oh no, he played against Saskatoon. Okay, so he is 2-1. He's actually playing his position in the first week with the Brandon Wheat Kings. He played right wing as opposed to his defensive position. Had a solid 12 points and went 2-1. He was ranked 137 overall in the league out of 653. The rankings aren't out this week, but while he's been with Saskatoon, he went 2-1 again. This time he only had 1 point, but he in a plus minus at -8. So his numbers are going to be a lot lower this week, but he still got the 2 wins. So for a D-man, you really can't complain. Averaging just under a shot and a half a game, so he's not trying too much on offense. It looks like might be on a line that doesn't cycle back too much, but his line mates aren't always the same, so it's hard to tell. But then you have Brad Marchand, 63, who went from Saskatoon to Brandon. The Sea Dogs to this whole thing got all messed up. But he also moved. He's a Sea Dog, and he hasn't played in week 2, so I'm guessing that was a big bust for them. And essentially, he played 4 games, 2 in the preseason, 2 in the regular, went 2-0, and then now, he did play in week. Oh man, this whole website is really getting me. They've put the CHL Season 4 on 2 different tabs, so I don't have it all on lockdown. But now he's playing for the Brandon Wheat Kings, and he's still undefeated. Left winger with 4 points and a plus. He's even on the plus minus with a total of 5 shots. So Brandon, I don't think they kept up their winning ways from preseason. However, this might have been the change they needed to kind of step it up, and they're winning games with them on there. So hopefully that keeps up. As far as a negative trade, we got to talk about him always. It's Breck Easy. I'm not going to say negative in a sense that they're not going to win games, but Breck Easy likes to talk a lot. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but when it does go bad, it goes really bad. Hopefully he won't become a problem in Kamloops. I think Bocasno's got that stuff on lock. But once again, will his switching teams, will this be the final resting place for Breck Easy? That's the thing everybody kind of wants to know. We're going to move on to our next question. This one comes from, I believe it's Nutty Grandpa and the Spokane Chiefs, the GM, my GM, everybody's favorite old guy in the league.
Yeah, this is Nutty Grandpa. I have a question regarding dropping of TC players. I thought there was a rule, but apparently I'm not sure what all governs TC players. If you could go in a little bit about that, because my phone is exploding with like 800 TC drops a night. Just if you could fill us in on what the rules are on that.
All right, yeah, so he wants to know what's going on with all these waivers and what's the actual ruling. It's the only thing I can pull up and quote, because as I said, I do not want to whatsoever sit here and say that I am a league official. I am not. I just kind of put on a show for you guys so you guys can laugh and have fun and do all that cool stuff that everybody does. No, but the waiver wire states, according to the rule book, Article 5, Rosters and Transactions, Section 8.2. The waiver wire is a place where management may place a claim on a waived player. The CHL waiver period for each season opens at the start of week 1 Sunday at 9:30 p.m. and the close of the week after the trade deadline. Exemptions. If a claim is made past the weekly deadline, managers have the opportunity to place a player on waivers in order to make roster room for the player claimed. Players called up on ECU or IR are exempt from waivers. Drafted players are also exempt from waivers until the entry-level contract expires, which is 2 seasons. Prospect players are also exempt from waivers. When a team sends a player down, that player will be placed on a waiver period for 24 hours for any other team to claim before movement will be completed. If a team wishes to make a claim, they must have or make room on their roster. The player can either fill an empty roster spot, or the team claiming the player must post a corresponding send down prior to the claim's 24-hour period being over to make room for that player. If a team does not win that claim, their posted corresponding send-down will not be processed. The winning claim will be awarded to the team with the highest waiver priority that can accept the player. Now, I could keep going on and reading all this, but most of this is applying to the CHL, getting players from the AHL, and all the way up to the NHL. So this is from their perspective. From what I understand, anybody can be waived at any time, and I know the TCs, once they hit their games limitations, that's when they hit their spot where they can be waived as well. I know when you waive a player, they're supposed to, and someone claims them, that person is supposed to claim them with intention of putting them on their active roster, not just stacking up TCs so you don't have to worry about forfeits. You'll always have players on type of deal, or just going after people, trying to find, hoping somebody turns out to be a stud, and then you can call them up full time and that stuff. That's not the way it's supposed to be. There have been a lot of players sent down on waivers. I don't get those same notifications because I'm not a GM this year, but I do know last year that every time a GM gets a notification anytime a player was waived. Some of the teams that were doing a lot of waiving last year was Portland, the Armada, and basically I've had a few GMs tell me that their phones are blowing up with a lot of waiver requests. So if somebody else wants to call in and say what they what actually is supposed to go on with the rules, maybe Crazy Ron's listening, he can kind of chime in, or Multi, or any of the guys that really have a better grasp on the rules than me, that's just here talking. Next question goes back to White Silence. This guy was probably one of our best listeners for the week. So at White Silence 14, you do get the Listener of the Week award. Congratulations. His question is, if you could select an entire lineup for one game for the Cup, who would that be, and why would you select them? First off, my goalie would be Zari. Zari's proven to be a winner. I've played with him several times late at night in Bacasmo's one street lobbies. Just solid goaltending. He's in the right spot as long as you have the defense. For defenders, I would take J-Rod is awesome on the left, and I would take Cold as Life from the Portland Winterhawks on the other side. Those two would be on my blue line. And then as far as forwards, I'd have to go with probably Severable Raptor from the Spokane Chiefs. I wouldn't want to put him on my team, but if I'm coaching it and I got to win a game, I'm going to take Breck Easy. He's over in the Kamloops. Then you got Taze 19 or 9. I'm not sure which one he is, and he's over in the Q right now. He's a solid left winger himself. And at center, yeah, we got Severable Raptor. So we got Severable Raptor, Bocasmo's Breck Easy, and Taze. And then on the blue line, we got Cold as Life, J-Rod is awesome, and then between the pipes is Zari. And that's a team I think that if you played them together, they would never lose a game. Player can't be over $9 million was a stipulation, so I covered that because Breck Easy's not over $9 million. He's at $9 million. But if I had to replace him with somebody else, I'd take Tiger 6'5", 1981 from the Spokane Chiefs as well. He plays good two-way offense and defense. He's not a one-way player. Always has his mind on keeping the puck out of the net before he's worried about putting it in. Good question, White Silence. Lots of fun hearing from you. And then our last couple questions came on Twitter. They were basically they came out the other night. I didn't answer them live on the air. I answered them in a private tweet or reply. I don't know how the whole tweeter thing works, but I can go ahead and try to cover those again. And let's see. The first one comes from AJW. I don't know who you are, if that's your Mad Dog Comics 85. You can go ahead and check him out on Twitter. He's an LG member. He says, if I ever thought about doing a studs and duds show and break down one stud and one dud from each team in the CHL. Yeah, we had a show like that last year. It was on CHL Overtime. Kessler had a hot or not segment, and that show lasted for a few weeks, so it didn't really take off too far. We will be starting to get into that, but I'm a firm believer that some of the best ideas are yet to come. We've talked about doing it for the LG Snapshot Show, which airs on Tuesday nights at 10 p.m. Eastern. That's a basic rundown of all three leagues, AHL, CHL, and NHL, hosted by F5 Penguin, Sev09, Eric E30, and myself, Powder P. You can catch that show in the forums just like you are this one, or on YouTube. Subscribe to us at League Gaming. But yeah, so we will be implying some kind of hot or not system, or a studs and scratches, or something like that. Next question comes from Nick Martell, nmart35. He asks, where will the Rebels finish within their division, and who are their biggest division threats? Well, first of all, obviously, the games weren't all in the books. We'll get leading up to the show starting, so I couldn't really make a standing on which ones are which and who's going to do what. However, Red Deer is obviously a point ahead right now with 23 points, 11 wins, 5 losses, and 1 OT loss, while Medicine Hat's 10 wins, 5 losses, and 2 overtime losses. So the big difference I see in the two teams right now is Medicine Hat has put in 80 goals while only letting up 45, and Red Deer's only got 53 while letting up 39. So their goal differential is a lot slimmer, and I think that actually might play a big part in the CHL, which doesn't happen often, but I think if you were Red Deer or Medicine Hat, you'd start thinking about how to get past the Saskatoon Blades and the Moose Jaw Warriors over in the East. They are dominating their divisions and conference by a long shot with 30 points and 26 points, so they still got a solid game and a half on the next closest team. All right, so somebody just texted me saying the feed, J-Rod, thank you for texting me. The feed keeps stopping and going. I'm sorry if there are any technical difficulties. I will see what we can do. Nothing's showing bad on my end. However, things do happen, and I hope when it comes out on the other end, it's not terrible. Final question comes back from Twitter, and that's back from AJW, Mad Dog Comic 85. He says, where do I see the Vancouver Giants in the future overall? Basically, Vancouver Giants have had a rough go at things to start out the season, 5-12, 1 loss, but they are on a 2-game win streak, and obviously there's not much lower they can go. The big thing Vancouver's got to realize is 8 teams out of that conference make the playoffs, and they're in 10th. So yeah, there's only 10 teams, but you're only 3 points behind a playoff spot, and that's Portland that's ahead of you. But as long as you guys stick to whatever it is that got you this 2-game win streak, you'll be able to improve on your record. Right now, you guys have got points leaders in Epion, who I know can play center like a mofo. I don't want to cuss on here because that's just unprofessional. Mo Petey, a name we remember from bidding. His bidding was almost, I think it lasted a week long. He's got 9 points. And then Crazy Kernuk 93 with 8. For goalies, right now they got 2 Quacks, who's got 2 and 4 right now with a 4.83. He's got the most games played there, but it doesn't look like he's the one that they're going to stick with, even though he's got the most wins. I don't know, though. I could be wrong. And then Can't Stop Me 0707, who has 1 goalie game played and 1 goalie game loss. I'm sorry, 2 goalie games lost, with a 5.34 goals against and a 70.4% shooting. So if I can make one suggestion, I think goaltending is something you guys might want to start thinking about if you guys want to start thinking about making a run at the Memorial Cup. But it's not going to be easy. It's definitely not. But there is some talent on the roster. Obviously, you guys have some guys that can score some points. don't get discouraged. Work together to get better. Don't try and get all these points back in one day. It's not going to happen like that. You guys shut down the defense, lock up the goaltending, and you guys will find yourself in a playoff spot real quick. So that was our last question for this week. Kind of a small turnout for the first week. I hope you guys, don't feel too timid. I'm not going to sit here and read off your phone numbers. I'm not going to call you back. I'm not going to call you while you're at work or anything like that. But remember, again, the number is 774-260-5411. We'll be having a weekly thing. I'll start bringing on some guests, and they can join me for some question and answer periods. Hopefully, people enjoy that. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, all that good stuff on the video. Subscribe to LeagueGaming.com, the best place for internet hockey sixes. And with that being said, I'll see you guys Sunday night for around the CHL. Peace.